Lisa Monachelli, how's she looking? No.
Not so good,
She's just a few feet away on this side. But anyway, she's with the Stamford Museum, Education Programs Manager. There she is, right? Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
I understand that this has been, and last weekend we were talking a bit about maple syrup as well. This has been a really good season.
It has.
Can you explain why?
It's totally dependent on the weather.
That's why I'm standing here.
So you want to take credit as well?
No, I'm not taking
credit.
I'm
not
taking
taking
credit.
About. That's how he rolls.
Well, Deb, I'm happy to give anybody credit that we get
right.
a good sap run. Basically what we're looking for is days in the 40s, nice and sunny, not too much wind, and then in the evenings for it to go below freezing, so maybe 26, 27. If we get that pattern in a couple days in a row, it creates a pressure in the tree, which allows the tree to run the sap, which is its food that it's storing in the roots for the winter.
And we have had a lot of
and I can tell you for the rest of the week it's going to be that way, so it will be really good for that.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. So you got to get those, make sure those evening temperatures are about 26, 27 for us.
We'll do our best.
We'll be great.
Try.
So you brought, and I just learned these are called spiles for the tree. That's what actually draws the raw sap out?
We like to say maple syrup is a simple but not easy process.
Yeah. So you have to be patient, right?
Yeah, it does take a lot of work, which is one of the reasons why it's a little bit more expensive than your average syrup, but it is definitely worth the effort. So what we do is tap our trees in February, which is basically by drilling one or a couple holes in there, put our spout in, and then collect the sap.
And these are a bunch of different spouts over, I'm assuming over, well, of course these are more modern ones that are made out of plastic, but you have more historic ones.
Yeah, the starting off was basically just making a slash in the tree, and that evolved to a wooden spile, and then of course when metal working came to New England, then we were able to use a metal spout.
Native American plastic right there. So can people just buy those things?
Absolutely. You can actually do this at home. It's very easy. Even if you just have one or two trees, you may only get a half a gallon of syrup or so, but it's still amazing because it came right from your tree. It's a local product.
And no additives either.
No additives. You don't ever add anything to maple syrup.
It's not bad for the tree, right?
No, as long as you're not making more holes than you need and you're letting the tree grow to about 40 years old before you put the hole in. Gotcha. And we never drill more than 3 holes in even the largest maple tree. So you're taking maybe about 10% of the sap out and you're leaving 90%.
So 40 years old is kind of, okay, that's when they're old enough to vote. Okay, so, all right, and so you drill those things in and then what happens?
Then basically you put a bucket on it and you wait for nature to do its course. Depending on the weather, we can fill a bucket in one day. Or we may just get a little tiny bit of drops here and there, and then all we do is boil it.
And I believe it's like a 40-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, on a good day, yeah. It can be, sometimes people will tap other trees besides sugar maples. Those are certainly the best, so that ratio might be higher. We usually say on a good year we'll get maybe a third to a fourth of gallon of syrup out of each tap. And we have about 330 taps, so our average yield of syrup each year is anywhere from 60 to 100 gallons, depending on whether.
Shot glasses
This shows us we do a lot of classes with kids on Heckscher Farm at the Stamford Museum, and so kids obviously are very visual, and it's hard for them to believe when they look in the bucket. The sap looks like water, because that little tiny bit of sugar is basically hiding in there. And so we show them, and we have to collect. It's a 40-to-1. We have to collect 40 of anything to make one of that. So we want to make 40 gallons of syrup. We have to collect 40 gallons of sap to be able to do that.
What's the
there's the
time
math,
frame
of course,
on that? How long does it take? Does it take, I mean, I'm assuming hours and hours and hours to boil it down.
It depends on a couple things, like how large your evaporator is. We certainly don't have a large enough or a larger operation as some of the bigger sugar houses in Connecticut. We can do about a gallon of syrup about an hour and a half, but it's going to also depend on the fuel that you're using.
Most importantly, the way I think of it anyway, how much better does the real maple syrup taste than the stuff you get in a bottle?
I think it's just not in comparison from what I think. And it's neat, maple syrup is a lot like wine. It also has different flavors depending on what part of the country they're making it in, as well as, what type of season. And certainly the flavors change. If you guys are interested, we did bring some samples.
I mean, that's why I'm here, obviously.
And you can see the syrup actually goes, if you look in here, and I know he told me not to pick stuff up, but I'm going to break my rules. It starts off really, really light at the beginning of the year. We call it fancy. And then as we go on, it gets darker.
So it does change.
Yes.
I'm afraid we have to keep moving along here, but Lisa Monachelli, really appreciate you coming in from the Stamford Museum, Education Programs Manager there. Thank you, and people can check this out?
Yeah, you can also go onto our website at stanfordmuseum.org, and we'll have our sugar house open for the next 2 Sundays, so people want to come down.